Hello, look, how have you been, brother? How have you been? It's actually quite nice to be back at the... No, sorry, I was just checking that the YouTube channel is working, and it does seem to be working. Now that that's aside, apologies for that. But yeah, looking forward to Belgium. Always an interesting race. I hope the drivers are feeling up to it, because it is quite a difficult track. If you didn't get any practice in, it would be quite interesting. Let's just quickly do our settings. We've got our tire settings, telemetry. Let's put that on. Lap data we want, and then track map. Tire data I'll take away again. Now, time to see what everyone can do as the horse car is out on track. And I'm not seeing Luke at the moment. Or did he change his name to El Truco? Hey Mike, how's it been? Okay, no, so there's no rain in quali or the race. It's actually quite sad, because this track can be quite good when it comes to the raining part. So let's see how many drivers did do their practice. And I'm hoping Mike did some practice for this race. I want to see Mike on the podium this season. He's shown some pace in quali. The question is, can Mike convert it from his quali pace and finally finish a race where I'm commentary? So the Haas driver will be our first to start a flying lap. Bundes coming into the bus stop, about to start his lap, as he doesn't open up the final corner as much as I thought he would. But I mean, he will gain like half a tenth. And he's going nice and tight through turn one. I think he might have lost a little bit of time there, not using all the track on the exit. Let's see, as he flat out through our Rouge and Radeon, as we see an Aston Martin spinning out on the outlap. And it's a 30.5 for Bundes. He's going to use... No, he's not using a lot of track on the exits. I think he can maybe carry a little bit more speed. It has been tidy, but it doesn't seem to be a fast lap at this current stage. I think a good first sector would be around a 130.1, and he invalidates his lap through Puan. A very difficult corner to get right, as we now move our attention to the Ferrari who was behind him, which I believe is Chris, who's still on a fast lap. And Chris was 2 tenths faster than Bundes was in the first sector. What is he going to be able to do going into the bus stop? He needs to just pick out his brake marker perfectly on the 100-meter board. Goes down into second, getting that rotation. Coming out of the bus stop, where's this going to place him? Of course, it's going to put him first It's going to be the first lap of the day, a 1:43.5 from Chris, as we now move our attention to Igor, who went P1. Then Sven's teammate is going to cross the line. Wicket is third, had a bad lap, a 1:54.9. Might have made a mistake. As we now look at Sven into the bus stop, what's Sven going to do? Vexed is into third place. Sven up into second. And it's Boomer who goes up into first place by almost a tenth over Igor. It's a great gap between the top three at the moment. Well, let's stay that way as we see O'Leary in fifth place. Now looking to Tichy. What's Tichy going to do in the first Aston Martin? What's the first sector going to be like? Is he going to have a good first sector? I'm going to compare him and his teammate. A 1:14.699 is the split time. What's his? A 1:16.6. So Tichy has got a lot more pace than Arctic at the moment. Tichy is really going for it. What's he going to do in the bus stop? Into third gear. He wants to carry more speed through the corners. Uses almost as much track as possible. Is he going to be top 5? Yes, he is. And he's just above O'Leary. And his teammate, Arctic, is in 10th place. As we now move our attention to Oswaldo, who invalidated his lap. And we've got ALR Mike, who's... I hope he's got a good race on his hands this time. I don't know how he's been around Spa as of late, but... and that is not the type of line you want to be taking, Mike. As he cuts onto the grass and takes out the brake markers. Now, if that was me, I would be a little bit irritated because I don't use racing line. As we see Nivi coming into the bus stop, about to start his flying lap. He's been actually quite good this season. He's had a couple of second place finishes. And he's actually pulling... Well, he's been turning some heads, let's put it that way, because he's really been performing quite well. He's been very consistent, and he just is always there. He's always there to take the last bit of scraps of first place. Whoever might be fastest, he's always there to take it. As going into the first sector, 30.4. And it does show purple sector, and he invalidates. Not a great start for him. As we see Mark going through Al Rouge and Radion. We see Mike climbing up the gears. A 30.4. The rear end of this McLaren looks very loose. And Mike's taking some interesting lines, I have to say. Cutting onto the grass, maybe some esports lines from Mike. And I hope this is going to be a good lap. As we go through Puan, is he going to keep it within track limits? He is. He was a little bit cautious. He still has maybe 2/10 to gain through Puan. Very wide through the chicane for Mike. He's fighting that McLaren. What's the second sector split going to be? Currently, that's going to put him around Arctic Squall. Is this going to be a good final sector? Can he maybe jump just above Mighty Chump or Wicked Prophet? We're going to have to wait and see as Mark goes through to the bus stop. Down into second gear, getting more rotation, not worrying about the minimum speed. Up to third gear, where's it going to put him? And he's just above Arctic, which is roughly where I thought he would have been, judging off his second sector. Now, as we see Chris on another lap, Bundes went up into 11th, not too bad from him. And Chris is just starting his new lap, also flat out. So Mike went around 343 kilometers per hour going down the Camel Straight. The time to see who's got the most downforce on. So it does look like Chris is running a little bit less downforce than Mike, as there's a 2 kilometer per hour difference, and he's going fastest through the first sector. But he might be losing a little bit of time through the second. Chris using all the track possible. Is it going to be too wide through Puan? No, he's absolutely perfect through Puan. Now comes into the final chicane of Sector 2. Just has one more right-hander before we can see what the split is. 14.7. That's 2/10 up on his current time. That will put him just above Tichy. Can Chris maybe find another 10th or 2 in the bus stop just to get a little bit of clearance between himself and Tichy? Chris, very gentle. Now you want to get on throttle as quick as possible. And where's this going to put him? And he goes into 5th, 2/10 ahead of Tichy. What a lap from Chris. As we now turn our attention to the Williams. As we see, is it Jaden? Oh. He goes into the bus shop. He's been showing good pace. It does look like he's a new driver as he goes on to pole position. What a lap. And that's going to be difficult to beat. That's going to be very difficult to beat. As we see Igor 2/10 up on his time. Can he find more time in the bus stop and maybe challenge for pole position? No, he lost a lot of time in the bus stop. He just gained half a tenth on his overall lap time, and he was 2/10 up through the second sector. Now turning our attention to Tichy, who's on a lap. Tichy not using all of the track in Puan. You can maybe gain another 10th through there. What's the Aston Martin's? And he invalidates. Where did he invalidate? With him invalidating his lap, that would have been a little bit of a headache for himself. So we see who's next going to cross the line. Is it going to be Igor? Igor is on a lap, I think. No, he's not. He's not using his ERS at all. So we have to jump to the Mercedes of Rob. Where's Rob going to place himself? The number 8 on his car. Same number as Roman Grosjean had on his car for Haas. You see Rob cross the line and he goes into P9, into the top 10, and he's quite comfortably clear of Vex. As we see Nivi go into pole position by 0.02 of a second, actually a little bit less. That's 19 thousandths between Nivi and Jayton. This is going to be close. Well, Nivi doesn't have time to come back and pit for a new set of tires. The Williams driver does have time to quickly go and do another lap. Now, as we see Vex coming through this back straight. No DRS. On the 100-meter board, brake. Get the nose turned in. Squeeze the throttle as if you've got an egg underneath it and go to the line. And it's going to be top 10 for Vexit, and that's a great improvement on lap time, but not a great improvement on positions. So now look at who's going to be next. Does look like it might be one of these drivers. So our first focus will be on Noof. Noof is 3/10 slower. He's not showing any improvement. I think he might be done with these lap. Wicked Prophet is actually harvesting a little bit. Mighty Chump might be on a lap. I think he's also harvesting. So no one's currently on a lap. Or am I just drunk? Maybe Mike starting a lap in the McLaren. You know what? This is going to be so close. And I know Mike has got the pace to get into the top 10. As Mike comes to the first sector. And he's 2.5 tenths faster than his previous lap. But we know the second sector is where he needs to gain most of his time. That's where he made all of his mistakes. Getting the rotation. There is Mike in third gear. Staying in fifth through the left-hander, and he doesn't invalidate. That's all the track possible. Can he do something through Puan? And he's not using a lot of track through Puan. I think he might be afraid of invalidating the lap. Maybe just trying to save it. This is where he made the mistake on his previous fast lap. Let's see. Can he get a little bit of a slipstream from the car ahead? And that's 1.4 seconds faster from Mike. That will currently put him at a 143.9, which would be between Rob and Noof. I think he's got more time to find into the bus stop. A 2-second gain would be perfect for Mike. What's Mike going to do out of the bus stop? He was on traction so early, and Mike goes into P9. What a lap from Mike. We now turn our attention to who's going to be next going across the line. It's actually going to be one of the Alpines. Is it? No, it's not going to be Vex. It's going to be... So Igor is going for is completing his out lap. So the next driver to cross the line would then be... Actually, the outlap of Jayton, but one of the Ferraris is on a lap, so that's Chris. Let's see what Chris is going to do through the bus stop. How's his lap looking currently? As Chris comes out of the final corner, gets some traction, and he goes into P5. As we see one of the Mercedes drivers going to cross the line, that might be Rob starting a lap. The Red Bull drivers are currently, well, a Red Bull and a Alpha Tauri is going to cross the line. Mighty doesn't improve. Wicket doesn't improve. It's almost like they're not finding time anywhere. So we see Tichy crossing the line with Arctic. Arctic can't improve. Tichy goes into P3. What a lap from Tichy. Now we go back to O'Leary as O'Leary comes to cross the line. Goes into P5, and this is going to be a box fight between all of them as Bundes can't really climb up the ladder. And who made such a big improvement? I think that might have been Abmo. As we see Boomer retire from the session out of the final corner. Boomer lost it. Swen goes into... Swen absolutely... I'm sorry, but Swen just absolutely annihilated the field by 7 tenths. So we now see Igor coming across the line. What's Igor going to do? Igor goes into P2. No one's going to challenge Swen on that lap time. As we see one of the Williams, that's Jayton, He's about to cross the line. Can he do anything against Sven? And he goes into P2. Sven, what an absolute lap. 5 tenths. Covering. As we see Rob now coming to cross the line. Where's Rob going to be? It does look like he jumped into the top 8. Rob goes into P3. What a lap from Rob. Well then, qualifying's done. And I've got to say, Sven, that's way too quick. That's way too quick. For tier 3. We might have to look into that somewhere in the future. But looking at the grid, we've got Sven, Jayton, Rob, Igor, Nivi, Tichy. Boomer would be a little bit disappointed with only P7. O'Leary with a great P8, consistent as always. Chris, Abmo, Oswaldo, very, very slow this session. Then we have Mark Vex, Bundes, Noof, Wicked Prophet, Arctic Squill, Mighty Chump, and El Truco rounding off the grid with not even setting a lap. So Jayton, you actually have to mute me. Unless we can quickly. So Jayton, for you to not hear me in game, you actually have to mute me. Yeah, Mark, I completely agree with you. I think Sven can really hand out some a tenth here and there just to help the others. So now as we go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's away we go. As we just want to put on the lap data isn't as important. Let's put some tyre information on. As we see Sven on the soft. Rob and Jayton is on the hards. They're going to fall behind a little bit. As I completely went to the back of the grid for some reason. As we see Jayton and Rob going side by side down the Camel Straight. As we see Igor about to make it a 3-wide situation. And Igor is getting past both of them. Can Igor break a little bit later as he squeezes the Mercedes a little bit? The Mercedes is going to fight it back, but Igor's got the better tyres. Igor's going to fight it on the inside, but Rob hangs it around the outside, and Nivi gets past Jayton as well. Not a great start for Jayton, or Jayton, sorry, as I should say. As we see Bundes and Vex getting very close to one another. Now the Ferrari is fighting for it. As we see Igor's getting on the back of Rob. He's got the better tyres. As we see a yellow flag for, I believe it's Nerf. He went off a little bit and it does look like he's okay. Vex has spun. And Oswaldo's also so far back and he's lost his front wing. But now we turn our attention to Igor going side by side with Rob. As Nivi's now looking down the inside, is he going to go for it on the Mercedes? And he goes for it. Is he going to get that switchback maneuver? I would have gone for it. He's going to get better traction. Is Nivi on Rob? Has to sit tight a little bit. Wait for it to come his way. As we see a 1.7, almost 1.8 second gap already at the front from Sven. Now Nivi's got to be patient as he has to lift through our Radion just to prevent running into the back of Rob. as Rob doesn't have any pace. Now we see Jayton going on the inside. As we see the Williams and the Mercedes, as the Williams goes very wide. And he squeezed, and he just forced Nivi a little bit. Now Nivi's fallen back all the way down to 7th place. And it might even be 8th if he can't keep that position. Now, looking back as we see Wicket and Chris. Mighty Champ is falling down a little bit. I'm wondering what's happening. Maybe O'Leary had a half spin. Maybe that's what happened. As we see Mike running all the way towards the back. I wonder if Mike also had some damage in that section. Well, that first part of the race. Oswaldo isn't going to be happy. We see the possible race strategies. Now Boomer and Tichy, as they did in Austria, getting very close to one another once again. This time it's Boomer prevailing. Is it going to be a ding-dong battle once again? Who's got the better traction? It does look like Boomer. Now Jayton is under pressure once again. Rob is really falling back compared to Igor. We see Boomer with a nice grip going towards the inside. Now we see if they can just give us a better camera angle. The three drivers, there's contact between the Aston Martin and the Williams driver of Jayton. Going 3 wide into the chicane at the end of the Camel Straight just wasn't going to work. Now Jayton has to call all the way back to the pits on his hard tires. He would have wanted to go very long on them, but that's not going to happen. Now we look at Nivi and Boomer. Nivi ran a little bit wide. I'm wondering if Nivi might have gotten a warning for that one. Nivi is sizing up Boomer. He's very close. If I was him, I would have waited until the end of the Camel Straight. Don't do it into the bus stop, because it's just going to give Boomer the opportunity to get back past you. Is Nivi going to do it? And he's just going to sit behind a little bit, waiting for that DRS of Boomer. As you see Eagle setting a fastest lap. Now starting to catch Sven. I'm wondering if Sven is starting to struggle with some overheating issues on the tires. The softs will go off at around lap 7, and that's completely go off. They'll start struggling around lap 5. So we actually need to have a look at that very soon. Now Nivi is struggling to get onto the back of Boomer to make that overtake. As we now turn our attention to Igor and Sven. I think Sven might have made a mistake starting on the softs. He might get the undercut on them. But I don't think the undercut is worth that much. We see Nivi is right on the back of Boomer on the timing sheets. With Mike the first person to pick up a penalty once again. As Igor drifts wide. And that has to be a warning for Igor. We see Igor basically pushing Sven through the corners. I want to see what's going on. So Sven's got much more ERS to play with than Igor does. But Igor's got the tyre advantage, and Igor's definitely going to make a move into the bus stop. And he's just going to sit behind. I think he wants to move with DRS. He wants to get past Sven going into the second sector, and then he can pull a gap. As we see Nivi right at the back of Boomer. This is going to be an interesting fight to see who will get that final podium position. As we now move our attention away from them, going back to Igor and Sven. Igor almost loses the car there. Fighting it through Radion. He's got the pace advantage and he easily breezes past Sven. Now we turn our attention back to Nivi and Boomer, and Nivi's also got the move done before they even get to the braking zone, and now he can chase after Rob. You see Abmo now looking at the back of Boomer, and Boomer has to try and keep up with Nivi. Try and get that DRS. Use it as to his advantage as much as possible, as we see Arctic getting past O'Leary. As we see one of the Haas cars actually almost losing it. That was Altruco almost losing it into the barrier. Now moving back to Abmo. I'm wondering if Boomer might have overused these tires a little bit. Doesn't look like the McLaren driver is very comfortable in that car at the moment. As we see Sven and Eagle getting very close to each other. Now Abmo, is he going to make the move into the bus stop? He's not going to make the move. He's just patiently sitting behind. And Abmo spins the car. A half spin from Abmo and he drops a place behind Tichy. All his work undone through one mistake. As we see Bundes and Altruco getting 3-second penalties. They're starting to struggle on tires as well. Now Sven, what can he do? Boomer is actually a lot closer to Nivi. But Nivi's going to get DRS off Rob. Maybe Boomer wants to make that move. He's not using any ERS. He's happy just sitting behind them. Nivi is going to make the move within the next few. As you see, the timing sheets just making me confused as ever. Which isn't a very difficult thing to do, but now we see Boomer and Nivi. They want a taste of Rob. They want to see if they can get past him within the next 2 laps. They need to do it to get that precious advantage, build a gap over him. As we see a whole gaggle of cars right here with Mike. As it's Mike, it's Jayton, it's Chris, and it's Altruco. Is Jayton going to make a move around the outside? And he's actually going for it, and he makes the move around the outside. What a move from the Williams driver. Is he going to keep it through Puan as he actually runs wide? And Mike is creating an all new track, trying to keep up. As we see Chris maybe having a look at Mike. Now Chris runs wide and he gives the Haas an opportunity. Is Altruco going to make a move around the outside on the soft tires compared to the hards? And he just can't make the move. Now he has to sit behind. He's going to use a little bit of ERS as Chris is using ERS to defend. So we now see that fight calming down as we see O'Leary and Arctic. Is this going to be side by side through Aruj? No, O'Leary just falls back a little bit and he's going to bide his time. Sit behind a little bit. Make the move on the camel straight. And O'Leary has that move done before we even get to the corner. As we now look at Nivi, who got passed by Boomer. Boomer's past him, and now Boomer wants to see if he can get a shot at Rob. Sven is also just staying within DRS of Eagle, but those soft tires will start to drop off around lap 7. So at the end of this lap, moving into the next, we might see Sven drop away a little bit. Boomer's actually looking a little bit more comfortable now towards the end of the stint. Now, well, towards the middle of the stint, Boomer's looking a lot more comfortable. Maybe he's been saving the tires in the early phases of his stint. Just trying to get the maximum performance out of them now. As he actually hits the Mercedes driver. The Mercedes driver just got spun by Boomer. That will definitely be going to the stewards. As we see Nivi get past both of them. Now Nivi just needs to get the perfect traction out of this first corner. What's it going to be? Not a big enough gap. So the gap is small enough for Rob to actually make a move back past past Nivi. And it's actually also small enough for Boomer to get past Nivi as well. We might see a 3 wide moment as we run down the Camel Straight. As we see Rob getting past Nivi, they're going side by side into the chicane, and the Mercedes driver is passed very comfortably, as his tires will definitely be trying to take over. As we see Niv get a 3-second penalty in his Alfa Romeo. He won't be happy with that. And now we see Tichy at the back of Boomer. They had a great fight in Austria, and now Tichy is actually going to make a move through Puan. And they go side by side through Puan, and Boomer has to go wide. And Boomer keeps the position. And now Tichy just has to wait a little bit. He's trying to break that slipstream effect of Boomer. And he was successful in doing that. Is he going to make the move through, well, going into the bus stop? Is he going to sit behind a little bit? It's going to be an interesting battle this once again. As we see Tichy, he's a little bit too far back. As we see Sven now pitting. Sven might be going to the hard tires. If he's going to the mediums, well, the mediums might be able to make it to the end, to be fair. And he's going to come out around P7, maybe P8, as he exits the pits on his mediums tires. And Tichy looking at the back of that McLaren. The McLaren's got DRS once again. Now Nivi's got DRS on Rob. Is he going to get past Rob? And he's actually going to make the move into the braking zone. As we see him get past Rob very easily. Now this is the second sector. He has to use all of his tires left. As we see Rob make a mistake. He lost the rear end almost. Now Nivi's got to use his pace. He's got to use the last bit of life in those tires to get away from them in the second sector. The Ferrari driver has to. This is crucial at this stage of the stint. If you look back at Tichy, is he going to maybe size up a move on Boomer? He's just a little bit far back, but he's getting the better runs through these corners. I'm wondering if he's running a little bit more downforce than Boomer, as Boomer's out of DRS. Boomer's been struggling through the second sector. And Sven is really gaining time. Igor has to pit. He has to react. And he's not going to pit. I think Igor might be waiting to get that soft tires, but he's going to get undercut by, as we see Nivi pit, and we also see Tichy pit. They might be going on to the hard tires. Now Abmo is way too far back on Boomer. Boomer's got the better traction out of the first corner. A lot better traction, gaining 3/10 out of the corner. And it's just going to help him all the way down the straight. As he's definitely going to get past Rob. Can Boomer maybe use his car, his tires, just to get away from Rob? Get that undercut on Rob. And Rob is defending on the McLaren. What a defense from the Mercedes driver. What a defense from Rob. You see Vex actually looking at the back of Nivi. Vex gets past. This isn't good for Nivi. because he needs to get past the Alpine. He needs to start using his fresh tires to gain on the guys in front. So you see Sven having a comfortable race. He's definitely going to have a major undercut. So you see a yellow flag, and I don't know what the yellow flag is for, to be honest. So now move to Vix as he got passed by Nivi. And I have to say, Wicked Prophet hasn't been having the best of races. I think he's been lapped. We see Tichy getting closer to the Alpine. He's also got those fresher tires. Is he going to sit behind? As we see Eagle pitting for the hard tires. That's a bold move by Eagle. He will be losing a lot of pace on the first few laps. As we see Vex coming into the pits to put on some fresh tires. I'm wondering if he might be going to the hard tires as well. Tichy is way too far back. We see Boomer on the back of Rob once again, and he's just sitting behind Rob. Boomer needs to get a move on because he's going to get undercut by both Nivi and Tichy. So we see Jayton actually getting close to Mighty. As they're going, oh, that's a little bit of a squeeze, but it's all fine. You see Jayton now at the end of the straight, and he's comfortably past him. You see Altruco and Vex. Altruco gets past Vex as Vex just came out of the pits. Arctic actually wants to get past Vex, trying to fight for that last few points, which is very crucial in the Constructors' Championship. Will Arctic be able to make a move? Will Vex be able to make a move on El Truco? Those old softs will be feeling terrible going through Puan. You have to lift so much and you're losing a lot of time. So you see Vex, is he going to make a move into the chicane? It's wise rather not to go for a move, but he lets Altruco go wide. And can he make a move? No, he can't. He just has to sit behind a little bit longer than he would have wanted, but now that's inviting Arctic onto the back of him. And this is going to be close into the bus stop. As we see Vex not having any ERS, and Arctic is going to use his ERS to get closer, maybe make a move on Vex into the bus stop to try and make a move on Altruco, but nothing's doing there. As we see Vex going for a move late on the inside, and he actually gets spun as Altruco was coming into the pits. And that allows Arctic to get past, but Vex will have the DRS going into this long straight, and he almost loses the rear end on traction, and he's losing a little bit of time. So we now turn our attention as Boomer did get past Rob. Now Rob has to fight it back. I think both of these drivers will be coming into the pits this lap. As we see another 3-second penalty for Mike. These drivers might be coming into the pits this lap to get some fresh tires on. I think they might be coming in for the softs. As Abmo just got passed by Sven. And Sven is really cruising for this victory at this stage. As Rob is maybe looking to make a move into the bus stop. Is he going to make a move late down the inside? No, he's not. He's going to bide his time a little bit. As we see Boomer go for another lap. We see Rob going for another lap. And if they can use the DRS train, they can actually hold up Sven a little bit for Eagle. As Eagle slowly catching him. Sven almost into the back of the Mercedes. He's got so much more grip braking later. But nothing doing there. He has to switch. He has to sit behind a little bit. Be patient. Wait for it to come his way as he's getting better grip through Radeon. But the Mercedes and the McLaren is really fast in a straight line. And now Sven can actually make the move on the inside of the Mercedes, and he's going to the outside, and he's going to get held up by the Mercedes. And all the while this is going on, this is inviting Igor back into the party as Igor's gaining, and he lost a little bit of time on the braking zone and the exit of that corner. Now Abmo also yet to pit. Him and Boomer. Rob also yet to pit. O'Leary yet to pit. Chris still needs to pit. Will Chris be going till the end on those hard tires? Because he did pit on lap 2, I believe. He can go to the end if he nurses them and he takes good care of them. Now we see Igor on the back of Abmo. Igor doesn't want to sit, as Rob gives a 3-second penalty. Those tires might have made him drift wide a little bit. And that's going to help Boomer in his fight with Rob. Now Igor, can he get past these two as quickly as possible? Can they pit? Is this going to release Igor? As you see Abmo pit, and that's going to release Igor onto Rob, onto Boomer. And Boomer's going to give him a slingshot on the Camel Straight, and that's going to give Igor a chance to get back within DRS. Igor's got a great chance of winning this race now. We see Rob coming out of the pits in P6. Is he going to get passed by the Aston Martin? Yes, he is. He's in P6. We see Abmo in P7. And they'll be running as we see O'Leary also coming out of the pits on the soft tires. Now we see Boomer getting passed by Igor. And Igor's going to fight for it. He wants that victory. We've seen it before. Igor's got the pace. Sven's also got the pace. These two were actually in a great fight in Austria for the win, where eventually Sven got the upper hand because Igor just pitted way too early. And Igor won't want the same of that. And Igor also got a 3-second penalty on that occasion. He has to look after himself. He needs to keep it within the track limits and just sit behind Sven. Make Sven use the ERS. And maybe he can make a move as we look back to Arctic. As he's on the back of O'Leary. O'Leary will be pulling away very soon on those brand new soft tires. He just needs to get them warmed up a little bit. We see Arctic looking. And you can just see the pace difference between the two tires as he almost loses 2 tenths through Puan. He's now look at Rob on his brand new medium tires. He'll be looking to make a move on Tichy, and he wants to get a move on. He wants to get past him. He wants to break a gap because he's got a 3-second penalty that he needs to look after. We see Boomer coming into the pit. That will drop him to around P7. But he's got the freshest tires of everyone. So coming towards the last few laps, I think he'll have the best chance of beating Abmo, Rob, and Tichy. Now we look to Sven as he got passed by Igor. Now Igor's in front. Igor just needs to be patient. He needs to save his ERS as we see Mark get another 3-second penalty. Igor needs to be patient. He needs to save some ERS. He's at a big disadvantage against Sven. With almost it's a 40% difference on the ERS management. Nivy's far behind them on 49%. And it doesn't look like he's going to be closing that gap anytime soon. He'll have to settle for 3rd place as Rob isn't going to catch him. And even if he does, he's still got that 3-second penalty. As we see O'Leary and Chris side by side through No Name Corner. And O'Leary making the move on Chris. Chris might need to pit for some new soft tires. I think it will help him. Now as we see Jayton actually at the back of Nuf. Jayton on brand new medium tires. Well, newer than Nuf. And to be fair, he's been showing such great pace. It's just unfortunate that he hasn't been at the front. He's had the pace all race. Just been stuck. He can't catch up as much as he wants to. And also making 2 pit stops. Can Jayton make a move on Nuf? He's not going to make it. As we now turn our attention to Tichy and Mr. Abmo. As Abmo gets past Tichy, and Tichy's going to be hit with a lot of headaches with Boomer coming up next. And I think that's going to be another slam dunk move. I think Tichy won't be able to fight it back until the end of the race. We see O'Leary get past Vex. And O'Leary also needs to look after his ERS, as him and Vex is basically depleted their batteries. And O'Leary can now chase after the guys in front. Can he make some inroads on Tichy? Or is he just going to sit behind once again? As we see Arctic and Chris very close to each other on track. As we see Sven and Igor into the bus stop. And Igor goes very wide. And Sven's going to make the switch back. And he just couldn't get the traction. As we see Igor pulling away. As Igor's going to be patient. He doesn't mind if Sven gets past him. He's going to have the fresher tires towards the end. As we have basically 5 more laps. As we see Arctic get a 3-second penalty. And that's going to really dampen his chances of getting points in this race. As we see Sven. Sven is going to make a move at the end of this straight. Is he going to make? And the move is done basically before they get to the corner. With the straight line speed. As they open that DRS. As we move back towards Chris, who's actually having a pit. Finally, I think his tires are done. And this field is spreading out a little bit, but Mighty Chump on the back of Altruca. Let's have a little look at them. Mighty Chump has a great opportunity here. As Altruca loses the rear end, and that's just going to invite Mighty Chump to make a move. As we see just ahead of them, Jayton is actually going to try and make a move on Nerf. And that looks like it's going to be a slam dunk move in front of them. And Jayton gets past him as we move back to Altruca and Mighty Chump. And Mighty Chump gets past the harsh driver. We now look towards the front once again. And Nivea struggling for pace. Rob has absolutely eaten through the advantage that Nivea has had over him. And that was like a 4 to 5 second gap that Rob has just absolutely he chowed through it. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a fight, a dog fight towards the end. As we see a 3-second penalty for Chris. You see Arctic and Vex. As we see Altruco get another 3-second penalty. Is Rob going to make the move? He's much faster through Radion. And he almost runs into the back of the Ferrari. And he makes the move before they even get to the chicane. Now Nivi needs to use as much battery as he can just to stay within DRS. To get that advantage off the guys in front. Boomer's going to look at the back of Nivi. Very soon. See Abmo at the back. Abmo's been running a really great race as well. I've said it before in one of the other races and I'll say it again. Abmo's very underrated for a driver. Him and Boomer are both for me, I'd say they are in the top, definitely like top 6, as we can see here in the performance. But in tier 3, I think they're some of the best drivers to have in this tier. As you see, Abmo, he's a lot faster than Boomer, but he's not making a move. As you see, Sven is really pulling away from Eagle. I'm wondering if Eagle is struggling with these tires more than Sven. But Sven's on the medium tires, and he's got much older medium tires than Eagle. As we see a Sector 2 yellow flag, as that's one of the harsh drivers, that's Bundes, who spun. At least the car is running once again, as we see him on the minimap going. Mighty Chump get a 3-second penalty. He's not going to be happy with this race. He had a great race earlier this season, but that's going to be very disappointing for him. As we see Chris on the back of Mighty. Mighty's got... Altruco's got DRS on Noof. Mighty's got... well, had on Altruco. And Chris looking at the back of Mighty. Mighty lost the rear end in the final corner. As we see a switchback from Chris, is he going to be able to make it to side by side into Radion? And he's just going to sit behind. I'm waiting for a move where someone goes side by side in Radion. That's something I'm really wishing for, as Chris is absolutely abusing the track limits there. Is he going to make a move on Mighty Chump? It's actually quite easier than we thought it would be, as Altruco makes a move on Noof as well. So we now move to another fight of Abmo and Boomer trying to get past Nivi. Nivi needs to hang on a little bit onto the back of Rob if he wants to get a chance to get back at... As you see, Vix, DNF. Is this going to be a one-lap safety car? No, it's not. And we see them... Vex would be very disappointed. He could have had points in this race. Now Abmo, Boomer, right on the back of Nivi. Nivi doesn't have any answer to it. Nivi's trying to use his battery, but there's no use. No use in fighting Boomer. As Boomer's just going to run towards the back of Rob. They all need to be patient. Rob does have a 3-second penalty. Now Boomer needs to use those tires in the second sector. Try and catch up to Rob and get past him. Because it's one thing of, yes, he did have a 3-second penalty, but we would like to beat him on track. So you see Abmo now might want to move. I think he might want to make a move on Nivi for 5th place. That will be a great result for Williams. And he just struggles with the car. What can they do? Going into the bus stop. We see them getting back into DRS of Rob. And is Eagle gonna catch Sven, or is he gonna sit behind for 2nd place? We see Nivi struggling. Nivi's not got the pace, and he might be dropping back. He might not be able to challenge Boomer for that podium position. We see Boomer get past Rob, and that's it for Boomer. Now he can pull away from Rob. He's got the tires to do it. But those soft tires will start to feel a little bit second-hand compared to the mediums of Rob. As we see Boomer go a little bit wide, and Rob is squeezing his nose in there. As we see Igor get a 3-second penalty, and even if he did want to win the race, his hopes are just dashed. It vanished in front of his eyes right then and there. As we see Nivi looking at the back of Rob. Nivi might be settling for P4, as he knows there's no point in fighting it with Boomer on the better tires. But now Boomer's going to be under pressure from Rob. As we see Altruco get past Mike. And we see Chris also getting past Mike. Mike on much older tires than Chris. Now Nivi. Bundes gets another 3-second penalty. As we see Nivi spin out the Mercedes, and that's front wing damage for Nivi, and he won't be able to get P3 anymore, and that might definitely be a look to the stewards. I'm wondering if Rob might have turned in on Nivi, and it was a little bit unexpected. Now Abmo's got a big chance of grabbing P4 before we get to the end of the lap. And now we see Abmo DRS open, using the little bit of ERS he's got left. But Nivi's going to wait for it. He's going to use his ERS on the final straight going into the bus stop, as he's got a lot more ERS than Abmo. We see Boomer. He might be able to give Abmo that little bit of ERS, or, well, slipstream. As Nivi doesn't have any chance, he's got front wing damage, and running through the second sector is not helping him at all. As we see a spin from Noof on the final corner, that wouldn't have been a great feeling. As now we turn our attention to Sven. And to be honest, he's been mega in qualifying. Even though Igor has challenged him, he's just been the better driver overall throughout the race. And Sven comes through to win the Belgium Grand Prix. As we see Igor cross the line in second. And Boomer fending off Abmo into the bus stop, as Boomer comes home for a well-deserved podium, and Abmo in fourth place. What a result for Williams. Then Rob crossed the line in P5, but ends up in P6, as Nivi comes home in P5, but I doubt that will stay the way it was, as Tichi comes home in 7th, O'Leary consistent as ever in 8th. Arctic just has 2 more corners to navigate, with Jayton at the back of him. Jayton very close. 1 more lap and he would have had it. As Arctic crosses the line in P9. And Jayton crosses the line in P10. Altruco defends from Chris and the bus stop. And Altruco goes home in P11. But where will the penalties put him? It puts him behind Chris. As Oswaldo jumps into P11 above Chris and Altruco, having no penalties. As Mighty comes home in 14th. Then Mike. Then Nuf, then Bundes, then Vex, and then Wicked. How far behind was this man that he's behind 2 guys that DNF'd? I'm sorry. What happened? Was Wicked in AI mode the whole time? Or am I being a little bit confused here? But yeah. What a Belgium Grand Prix. The field did spread out a little bit, which that make comms a little bit easier. But looking at all the drivers here, I'd say what a drive from Sven. Just handling everything. He was the faster driver in quali, and I expected him to win. And for my drivers of the day, I'd say it has to be between Sven Boomer, and you know what? I'd say Atmo as well. They had some great drives coming back through the field on their, although fresher tires, but they actually had to fight their way back, and they did. I think that was a great race overall. Boomer and Atmo absolutely eating through the field. Boomer getting a podium. Igor will be disappointed a little bit, I think. That's my opinion. I might be wrong. But he had the opportunity and it just vanished in front of his eyes. We see Sven. I think the lobby might have been broken with Wicked Prophet here. Yeah. But in any case, that was an interesting race in Spa. And a lot of drivers will be happy with that. A lot of drivers won't. But until next time, I'll see you guys in Saudi Arabia. Have a great evening and a great week. Cheers.